Hello everyone, welcome to the Code, and it's a part 3 of this Fast API tutorial lecture series, and today we are going to talk about the Pydantic. So I hope you have watched the previous two sessions. We are going to learn how to integrate this Pydantic library with the Fast API, and which is going to be very necessary for all the rest of the work which we will have. So without any further ado, let's start. So what we are going to learn today is automatic data serialization and deserialization. I will give you a synopsis of how this Pydantic will do the serialization and deserialization. After that, we're going to cover this defining data models with type ends. So these data models are nothing, just the base models, which is the part of the Pydantic. And this is the core part of this Pydantic, and it will be used along this Pydantic uh, library throughout the course. After this, there will be few scenarios where you need the data validation with and without base model. See, I'm going to cover all these things with the practical scenarios. So stay with me till the end, and we will create a strong base for everyone. After it, we are going to use this exclude specific field after data validation. So it is possible to exclude some fields after the validation to be used by the another methods. And in the end, we are going to create a post API using the Fast API and Pydantic. So let's start. Where is this? Okay. So we will start with this serialization and deserialization. So this serialization comes into the picture when, let's say, there is this user. This user is going to use your app. This app. This app is made of your Fast API, and inside the Fast API, this API which you have created, it is based on Pydantic. Pydantic is a library. It's a Python library which provide us functionalities which will do a clean work for us. It makes us do work faster, and it provides so many functionality for which till now we have to do the code, or we need to create the libraries for those work. Okay. So when users send data to app, or you can say when users send request to your server where your app is installed, the data is in the serialized way. Serialized. Serialized means it will be in the format of bytes, string, or JSON. So once these type of data comes into your Fast API framework, inside the Fast API framework, there is this Pydantic library. This Pydantic library will convert the data to Python object. This process is called deserialization. Deserialization. Serialized. Serialization. These Python objects are nothing but your, let's say, dictionary, list, or your integer, your string, all those types which Python support. So what it will do, it convert this type of data into this type of data, and this data will be used by your methods. Okay, what I did. Okay, this will be used by your methods. So once the methods completed their work, again they will send the data back to your Pydantic. This Pydantic will again do the serialization. It will do the serialization, and this serialization will go back to the sorry, my hand user. So in this way, this serialization and deserialization gets completed. I guess we covered the part of serialization and deserialization. Now let's move to the base model or data model. Before going to the coding part of this base model or data model, let's understand what we are meaning, what we mean by this base model or data model. So in that, there is this Pydantic. Pydantic needs a data model. Data model is nothing but a base model, which will be referred in the Python coding. So just to connect with the data model or base model terminology, let's understand there is this DB database where we store data, where we store data. These DB will contain multiple tables, multiple tables, right? And these all tables will look like something this, as you have seen in your might be in Excel or CSV, where you have this key here and it their value v1, v2, v3, and also we have this primary key. Primary key will go incrementally like 1, 2, 3, 4. Same like this, we have other columns like this k2, let's say key 2, key 3, key 4. And same, it's a table 1, it's a table 2. So if you can see, there is this key value combination, this key, and key habits value. So once when you query your database, what you do, you query the syntax of your let's say SQL or SQL Alchemy or your Postgres, whatever thing you are using in your project or you are using for your practice. Uh, let's say you have created a query like select name and select username comma salary from this table, and it revert you the data with the key in a table format, where in the column name there is the key, and below to it in the rows there are the values. So this is the data which is in the model. When you combine this, it becomes data model, which is this. So we understand, okay, so this data model is the representation of the database, and this database we represent in a key value. So we create in Python, when we want to create a base model for the Pydantic, we create a class, we provide a database name or your table name, let's say your table name, and inside of it, we provide this key 1, key 2, key 3, and we also provide the type. We provide the type, let's say this your column first is of type str, let's say your column 2 is of type integer, let's say your column 3 is your type float. So when this Pydantic use this data model, so it ensures whatever the data is going through your method will contain the type of string, or sorry, the type of key, same as we need in the data table. See, it's a simple database connection to the your Python method. Okay, so we have completed what is base model, and we also understood why the Pydantic is required till now, but still we have lots of things to move. Okay, so let's see into the our code editor. Okay, we have this bash. Let's check into our virtual environment, which I have already activated. Do we have this fast API or not? Okay, we have the fast API. Let's check, do we have Pydantic or not? Okay, we have the Pydantic too. So how I got this fast API in Pydantic? In the earlier lectures, we have when we install the fast API library, these all packages comes in together as a bundle. Okay, so let's clear it and move to our Python code. So what we will do from Pydantic, import base model. This base model is referring to Pydantic, okay, which we have just understood now. Sorry, I just wrote the wrong thing. Class, let's say we will create a class item. This item will inherit the base model. So it will know, okay, I'm working for the Pydantic. And what variables, what keys we will use? We will use name, which will be str. We will use, let's say, description. Description will also be string. And we will use the price, which will be float, because price can be in decimal. So here we created our first base model for the Pydantic or for the fast API on which we are going to do the work. Here, let's say in your transaction of data, this description is not much required, as we are denoting all the keys and their type into the type hint manner. So what we can do is we can provide its value as none too. So let's say if you didn't provide anything for the description in your data transaction between the API, we can provide none too. Or if you are not providing anything, it will by default take none. So it is a simple description which will let your API description independent. If you are providing description, it will take it. If you are not providing description, it will take it as none. And also, let's say from your UI or from your input way, if you are providing none as your input for the description, it will take that as well. But for the name and for the price, it will take only string and the float variable. And also, we didn't provide any kind of union or optional manner in it. So it will be mandatory for now. So here we completed our base model. Let's move into the next part, which is what? Which is this data validation with and without base model. Okay. So let's start with the same base model and we will do the data validation first without the base model. See, the reason why we are learning this data validation without the base model is sometimes, let's say you have created your API, but that API or taking input from multiple sources. Uh, you have like in your API, you are taking one input from, let's say, X1 API, you are taking second input from X2 API, you are taking third input from X3 API. So when you are taking input from multiple sources, it is required for you to validate whether all the data is coming or not. Because if you are taking data from a single place, uh, if the transaction is successful, it is possible that all the data will come together. But if you are taking data from multiple sources, it is possible that one source is not working, but other sources are working. Or it might be also possible that one source is sending data in different type, which you have not imagined or you have not controlled, or you didn't write any kind of exception for that. So for that case of scenario, or you can say for that scenario, what we do is we create a base model independent validation. So we will create one. So what I will do, I will just comment it for now, and we are going to create an independent function for the validation. So that this function will work as a mediator between your API and your fast API. Sorry, your API source from where you're taking the data and your fast API in which you are using that data. So let's start. What we will do is we will just say validate name. this validate name, and what we have to provide this name. Just let's say this name, and name will be of string, and return name. I'll explain what I'm doing right now. So what we need to create is we need to create a method which will check whether the name is a string or not. So if name is a string, if name is a string and it is passing through this validate name, it will reverse the name. And in the next method in which you are using this, you will know it that okay, I'm getting the string. But it is not all. We need to import one more thing that is called this validate call. Validate call. Okay, we don't need to call it. Just need to provide the decorator for that. Validate call. Validate call. Okay, validate call. Okay, then we need to use it here. Validate call. Yeah, fine. It is from here. So this validate call from Pydantic gives you functionality to do this validation independent from the base model. So currently, right now, let's say we will create this try except. Why I didn't use try except inside of it, I will explain you. So just let us create this type. This item will be this, let's say you will taking the name, and this name will be validate name, and you are passing this name. As we don't have any database right now, so what we are going to do is we are taking the we are going to work with default values. Let's say Ali, and if it is fine, then print data is valid, or you will say name is valid, and accept value error. We need to validation error. Yeah, we are doing the validation. Then we need to use this validation error from the Pydantic. What we are going to do is we will provide this validation error as error, and print name is valid. And also we are going to print our error, so we will know what type of error we are getting, or description of the error, because it will give you description like why it was unable to validate, or from the validation what error it get. So if we have this validate call, okay, and we have this name, this, so let's try to execute it. We are here in our part 3. Let's check. Okay, we have everything. Our main file, this main.py, name is valid. But it is not the case that we just only have to use this str. When you're providing name, you also assert some kind of condition that your name string should match the character length, or it might be possible in your case, this string should be start from something, or this string should be end with something. So for that only, we use this annotated. Okay. For the annotated, we are going to call this typing. From typing, import annotated. This annotated is a very wonderful thing from the typing, and it is going to help us. It is going to help in reducing our work so much. So what I will do is after the ali, not after the ali, I will use the simple type string with it. So this annotated. Inside the annotated, we are going to provide the condition. This, so it will create a string object, and it will return the string object. And in the string object, we are going to use this. Let's say if you are going to work on length of string, so we need to use as we are working on a string, and we need to use this in that. These all things comes under the string constraints. If we are providing any condition to the str, it means that's a constraint for the string. So for that, Pydantic, again, we are providing us a very wonderful library which is called string constants. It have these kind of library for all the types, which we will discover throughout our series. And okay, so we have this str, and we'll use this string constraints. The string constraints we will provide, okay, the minimum length which I am asking, string constraints. Am I typing it wrong? Okay, I have this thing. I get, okay, I'm providing in a wrong direction because it is not provided in the method. We need to do all kind of logic inside the method only. So what I will do, place of this here, we are going to use this annotated. Sorry, my pronunciation is a bit wrong for this word, but I'll try to cope up with it. So we have this. Okay. So we have this min length, and we are going to provide the condition of 4. Anyhow, I need a name which should be which should have at least 4 characters. And okay, I didn't close the bracket. I will close the bracket. So we have provided the condition on our validation. So this is the actual validation which we do. Now let's check our code whether it's working fine or not. It should not, because we have provided Ali and Ali have 3 characters. Okay, so it gave us the error, name is invalid, one validation error from the validation name. So string should have at least 4 characters. See how smart it is. Whatever the condition we are providing here, on based on that condition, it is doing the validation. And it is also providing the exact information which we are going to need to debug if there is any issue. So we have completed the validation without the base model. Now let's compare to the base model. So we will uncomment our base model which we have created, and let's comment this part. We're not going to use it, and we are going to work only with this. Let's delete this part, and this. We can do what? We can take this again name. We can take, sorry, we can again take this name equals to, okay. So when we are going to use this base model as a validator for our data, so we need to create the instance first for the class. No, this item. Item represent the, let's say, product. Actually, it's a product. It have name, it have price. So it is the item class. So once when you have initiated the item class, you know, like it have this instance variable, or it have these keys which we need to initiate. So here we have this name. Let's say we are going to take this again Ali, or you can take anything Alice. Let's say let's take Alice for now, and we have this price. Price is 100.01. Alice is not a good name for a product. Let's say it's Alice AI. Alice AI, and it have a price of 100.01. And if it worked fine, then it will not throw any error. It will not go into the validation, and it will print name is valid. So let's see if it worked fine or not. Name is valid. So we have this name, we have the price. As I told you, this description is not necessary because we have provided this condition. So we are working with this name and price. So with the name, this Alice AI, and the price of 100, it is working fine. Okay, what I will do, I'll reduce the length of the name. So it should fail now. Oh, it got passed. Why so? We have provided the accept validation error. Okay. Mm, We have provided description, name is valid. Oh, sorry. We haven't provided any condition till now. So it should pass. It is asking just for only, it should be string. So it is getting the string. So to provide any condition in these kind of validation, what you have to do is you have to provide some kind of fields from which you can validate. So for that, again, Pydantic provide this field, sorry, fields, okay, field. So what we are going to do is we are going to provide this field to our model. So we have this str, will do, we are going to put this field. Inside the field, the first thing which we have to denote is this. If you are using this mandatory field, then you have to provide these three dots. And after these three dots, you can provide again this minimum length. And inside the minimum length, we are going to use this 4. So it should work for the name. If the name have less characters, then it should throw the error. So it is going to validate whether if it's a string or not. If from the field, it is going to validate that it should have minimum 4 length. Characters of, it should have a characters length of 4. So let's try again. See how good it is. Let me clear the screen and run it once again. Okay, so the name is invalid, one validation error from the item. So the string should have at least 4 characters. Again, we got the error. And for now, this base model I'm using for the validation is because we are getting data from the single source. And once when you are going to use this base model, so every time when you're going to validate something specific for a key, you are going to create an instance of that class every time. So you need to be careful because it will create a overburden in your server to process and to return the data. Because if you're going to use FastAPI, it means that you're going to handle simultaneous requests from the users. And if you're going to provide this much of validation into a single fields, then it is going to be a too much overhead for your application. So we have completed this data validation with and without base model. So right now we are going for the exclude specific field after data validation. So we are going to use this same part, this base model, and we have this. And okay, what example should I use? Um, okay, we will continue from this point only. Just remove this part, and after this, let's say you have created your API or you have created your source, but on the second method in which you are passing your data, you don't need that data to be passed on that particular API or in that particular method. Just to protect your data, let's say you have some username password in a one database model or in a base model, but you only just wanted to pass the users. You don't want to pass the uh, secrets or password of related those users into the method. Or on the other scenarios, you can say if user have created a list of inventory, and from the inventory you don't want to show the description, or you just only want to show the item and its price. So what you want is you want to discard all the other things and you just want to concentrate on the two things only. So for those two things, there's a very great feature from the Pydantic, that is exclude and include. So from this include and exclude, you can understand if you do the include. So what it will do, from your data, what you are getting, it will include one more field, the custom field for the user's view. So let's say if you have you have two models and you want to create a view or you want to create a payload in which you want to concatenate that data, or in which you want to create a single representation of that data from the two base model, then you can use the include. And in part of exclude, let's say again, if you have a data payload and if you just want to pass only one key, then you can just put all the other keys into the exclude, or a specific key into the exclude, and the other keys will go and pass on to the other method or the other API. So here we have this product, which is we have for the name and price, and I don't want this price to be visible to the user. It's just a general case. You can take your own example. You can create your own example for it. And what I'll do is product without price. Product without price. Then product dot model dump. Model dump. Because of this uh, type hints only, I am getting this much help in developing my method. So if you haven't watched the type hint tutorial till now, the link is in the description. Please watch it because it is the base of the fast API and you should know how to use the type hints. So we have created the this model dump. This model dump, what we will do, whatever the data I'm getting from this item class, it will create it like a JSON and it will dump it to the products. From the products, it will create a dump and it will whatever the output we will get from it, it will be in the form of JSON, or whatever the data we are filtering from here, it will go inside it as a JSON, it will filter it and it will revert it as a JSON or dictionary, in a Python dictionary. So we have this, or what I will do is I will do the exclude. I will do the exclude with the part of price. Okay, again, when we did this, so it should not include the price in the current data. So the data is reverted to the product without price, and let's check whether it's working fine or not. Okay, I should have used this AI, AI data. Let's say we have this name AI data because we have also created the field restriction for it. So it's have the name, it have the description, but it do not have the price. So as description is going as none, we don't need to provide it. But as it's a part of the base model, it will be returned. So we have worked on this exclude include thing. Okay, so here we have the last part. Let's create a post API using Pydantic. So, so what we will do is just remove these all things. We will use the same item model and we are using the fast API. We need to run our server. So what we will do is we will import the fast API. From fast API, import fast API. We will create our app instance from the fast API. We have this app, we have our base model, and from the app decorator, we will create the post request. Okay, let's create a path. It should be at item. We are going to create an post request for the item, and here will be our asynchronized method. Asynchronous method will be this create item, and this create item will take the item database, or sorry, item base model. This item, and the item which will be passed to here will be of type this item. I need to just, so this method will take the data. It will check whether the data is type of this item base model or not. And as we don't have any kind of database right now with us, so what we will do is we will just return the data. We'll just return the data, as this part will behave as it it this part should behave as to data which should be posted to the database. And from the database, after this successful iteration, we need to send back the response. But for now, we don't have any database integrated with us. So we are going to return it to the our server, and the server will show us into our web browser, or if the any API calling application we are using for the testing. So in this way, we have created our first API. Let's trigger our code. We are going to use this FastAPI CLI, FastAPI dev app. Sorry, FastAPI dev main.py. So we created our server. Let's go to the Postman and check whether it's working fine or not. We'll start the Postman. Okay, we have this item. Let's create its body. Okay, we have this Alice. Dismiss, cancel. We are going to create a post, and from the local host, it should be running at 8,000. Let's check it. If it is running on 8,000, yes, it is running on 8,000. It is on local host, and the path which we have provided is a item. So let's check what it will return. Great. It is returning the data. It means our post API is working fine. So for this lecture, this is it. And in the next lecture, we are going to dive deep more into the Pydantic and more practical scenarios. It is just the beginning of the post APIs. We are going to cover post APIs advanced. We are going to cover this data ingestion. We are going to cover post. We are going to cover delete. And also we are going to cover this API integration. The API integration, if you learn this, then you will be able to integrate all the third-party application to your own app, and you can create your own application. So stay tuned with me, and please follow, so you are not going to miss any other part. And please comment and subscribe. If you have any kind of issue, if you have any input, or if you want any improvement, just let me know. And please, please, please subscribe. Thank you.